They were bringing me down. I had to get away from them. Staying there, I'd never be able to avoid them, so I left. I got to California, I changed my entire life. I started over. I even became a vegetarian. Not just a vegetarian, I became a vegan. I didn't use anything from an animal. Nothing living on this planet was going to be harmed because of me. Not so much like Jainism or anything, but just vegan. In my diet and I didn't even wear leather shoes. I got back into university, which I had been out of now for maybe 2 or 3 years. And I became active in campus politics. At that time, the big thing was affirmative action. I was working with the National Organization of Women on one march. They came in kind of late. I wish they had started a little earlier. And that really got me politicized. We started doing things about all kind of other issues, police brutality. There was an American brother from the 70s. His name was Elmo Geronimo Pratt. They call him Jajaga. Most people don't know anything about him. He was a Black Panther. This man spent 27 years in prison, innocent, framed, in my belief. So I began campaigning to get him released from prison. I was like, alhamdulillah, I saw him released from prison after 27 years. I began doing campaigns on what we call plebiscite theory, or referendums, like Kashmir, Philistine. I became very educated with the process of how to make a state out of nothing, out of conflict, how to make peace. Like I said, I was out for justice. I wasn't out for it, I was out for justice. Alhamdulillah, the Muslim Student Union at UC Berkeley decided they were going to do a conference on how to do dawah on American campuses. I decided to attend. This was the 50th year of the Israeli occupation of Philistine. And I was living with Jews. And they're still my friends. I'm sorry to say, I'm not sorry to say actually. They were good people, They had some bad faults and they weren't really practicing Jews. They were more secular Jews. But alhamdulillah, they treated me like family. And I was living with them, and so I decided, let me go to this conference and see what these people are talking about. The Jewish Student Union is saying it's a birthday, 50 years of statehood. And the Palestinians are saying, no, it's not, it's 50 years of occupation. So I went to hear this talk, specifically to hear this one Palestinian speaker, Arab. I don't know anything about Arabs except Sinbad movies. I don't know anything about Muslims. Really, I didn't. When I studied in high school, they told us about Turks, Ottomans, all these other terms which they used to hide. And they never talked about the Muslim empires or the Muslim caliphates or... So my outlook on Arabs wasn't that great anyway. The guy who invited me was an Arab, and I didn't know he was a Muslim or anything else. I admired him a lot though. He had really good character. Really good character. So I went to this conference, and the first person to come on the stage, lo and behold, was a 50-year-old, slim-built, white, British convert to Islam. Instantly my mind was twisted. This isn't an Arab. This isn't an African. Some people, they equate false sex in Islam with Islam. So I said, what's going on here? This man began speaking Arabic fluently, reciting beautiful verses from the Quran, and then translating them on the spot into English, the first time I ever heard the Quran. And he talked about human rights and social justice. And that's what I was into. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm looking for. He got off the stage. Then came another brother onto the stage. Now this one, okay, this one's an African American. Yeah, I'm used to black Muslims. Okay, I've seen them before. Also coming from Washington, D.C. And again, he began to talk about the history of America and social struggle and the military-industrial police I don't know what you would call it, configuration of America. Talking about the injustices and the rates of incarcerations of different groups, and that's what I'm talking about. That's what I know. There's this guy, Geronimo Pratt. Of course you know him. And then finally came the third, this Palestinian brother. And again, he spoke from a political sense, which is what I wanted to hear. But he gave a little bit more of juice on the, from all three of them now I had a vision of the Allah, what he wanted from us, his Prophet ﷺ, and what was contained in this book, the Quran, which I had seen a Quran when I was young, because my stepfather had a Quran in the house. He was a master mason, but I didn't know what it was. I really, really was impressed with these three speakers, not in any sense for religious purposes, but for political purposes. And I began to sit with these Muslims. The next day even, I went back to that conference, and I sat with those Muslims, and they were wearing turbans and thobes, and they were Americans, and they were Somalian, and they were this, and they were that, and the brothers were over here, and the sisters were over there, and they went outside to pray the Asr prayer. And I thought they were going to go for a march. And I'm not part of this conference, I'm just a guest. I'll watch. And they prayed right in front of me. The first time I ever saw Muslims pray. It was Asr, so it was silent. All I heard was Allahu Akbar and such. After that prayer, they came to me and they asked me, why haven't you prayed with us? They came to find out I wasn't a Muslim. They did a very intelligent thing. Rather than anger me, upset me, or say something that might put me off, they went and got someone qualified to talk to me. That brother, he came and he talked to me, and alhamdulillah, in 5 minutes, I was a Muslim. Allahu Akbar. So I left school and I began to study Islam. And that's what took me on all of those journeys. But the first journey was the journey of the self, from that pride, that American pride of I know everything, I'm the right, I this. It was the first thing was dealing with that ignorance, that compounded ignorance, where you don't even want to accept that there's something else. And coming to Islam, inshallah. Thank you for your patience with me. I thank the brothers from Peace TV, the Islamic Research Foundation, especially Dr. Zakir Naik. I thank the Indian government for giving me the visa. Musa for doing an excellent job with my intro and also being a good brother to me for these past couple